Hey guys, I know I typically, use my regular camera. I think I've only done like one or two reviews in this format where I'm sitting at my desk and I'm in my recording room and I'm doing a review, but I just needed to do it this way because man, this game, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, is absolutely, look, spoiler alert, you need this game. It's so good. And I'm not gonna even fluff it. If you don't want to watch this whole review and you're just curious, is it worth your time? Yes, go out, buy it. If you can get the collector's edition, get it. If you can get the regular edition, get it. If you can't get it physically, you get it digitally. The game is fucking phenomenal. The game is so good. Story, gameplay, graphics, music. The game is so good. Anyway, before I continue with my nerdgasm here, guys, I'm Mekel, Kasanova, Hawaii's, I'm a Hawaii content creator and host of the #1 podcast in the state of Hawaii, the Kasanova Podcast. I also stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/MekelKasanova every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and occasionally on Sunday. So link for that, as you can see here. So we're going to be getting into Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, why you need it, why it's awesome, why I love it, and why I'm excited. I'm going to be interviewing the voice of Shulk himself, the one and only Adam Howden. This is going to be truly amazing. But that being said, if you guys are ready, I'm ready. Go ahead and roll the intro. The story of Xenoblade Chronicles is set on a world of two titans known as the Mechonis and the Bionis that are engaged in an eons ongoing battle that ends with them landing death blows on one another, causing them to cease functioning. On the remaining bodies of the two titans flourish life, with the Mechonis giving life to beings known as the Mechon, and the Bionis being the home of the human-like Homs, the Hyentia, the furry-like Nopons, and so much more. Following the introduction, we are introduced to the war hero Dunban and his companions Mumkar and Dixon as they wage war against the Mechons on Sword Valley, which is the remains of the sword used by the Mechonis to slash the Bionis. After the Battle of the Sword Valley, we are then introduced to young scientist and researcher Shulk and his best friend Ryan as they are hanging out in the fields and on their way back to Colony 9. To meet up with their friend Fiora, which is the younger sister of Dunban. Little do they know that Destiny has a lot in store for them all, and life on Colony 9 will never be the same again. Now look, that's all I'm going to say as far as the story, because it ramps up from this point onwards, and with everything that you're introduced to, all the terminology, the characters and whatnot, you're in for one wild ride. If you've spent time playing the original, then you'll be right at home here, as this is basically the same combat system akin to pretty much an MMO, in that your characters auto attack the targeted enemies while being able to select actions that allow you to do certain things, such as using abilities like backslash and while down, as well as being able to use different things such as buffs and debuffs, being able to heal yourself and allies, and more, all in real time with your party of 3, with you being able to cycle through the abilities manually based on who you're controlling at the time. Each of your characters fits an archetype, with Shulk being your all-arounder that is good for all situations, especially early on against Mechon, and with Ryan being your tank and heavy hitter, and with Melia being your mage/healer, and so on. Your party of 3 can be customized to have so many different combinations depending on who it is that's in your party, allowing you to have a party and playstyle of your choosing. And you know what? An ability we're speaking on that will save your ass more than once is how Shulk has the ability to see the future in battles, just as he does in cutscenes. And that foresight will allow you to see when an enemy will kill off one of your characters and give you ample time to react to this with an attack that will interrupt them from this, such as afflicting the topple state on your enemy. Equipping weapons and armor in Xenoblade Chronicles changes the look of your characters with items such as weapons, armor pieces, headwear, eyewear, and more, all giving you the ability to customize how your character looks both in battle and on the field and in cutscenes. Quests have always been a huge part of Xeno games, and in Xenoblade Chronicles it is truly a fun aspect of the game with you doing various quests for NPCs, from fetch quests to kill specific monsters and more. What I enjoy about doing quests in this game is that it allows you the opportunity to raise the relationship levels you have with the various NPCs in the different colonies, which will allow you to not only open up more quests, but also get the chance to gain better equipment down the line that you may not be able to obtain otherwise. Of note is one aspect of the game that I highly recommend you take time to understand and learn and ultimately invest in is the gem system. As in my original run of the game back in 2010, it had me get to the end of the game and I was at a point where I was just struggling beating common enemies, let alone bosses. And it's an aspect that the original game did not take much effort to explain and was tucked away in a side quest, yet in this edition of the game, it does a much better job of showcasing it and why it's important. And so you may be asking, what's changed between this and the 2 previous releases? And the answer is that this version has tightened up some of the issues with the original, with letting you know if certain moves and abilities are more effective from the side, back, or front, as your placement in relation to your foe is pivotal in getting the max amount of damage done, and vice versa, the enemy to you. When you're facing an enemy and you're using someone like Shulk and on the side of the enemy and intend to use an art like Slit Edge, then you will see an exclamation point next to the art that will allow you to see if the arts are more effective based on where you're positioned. Ultimately speaking, if you're used to playing Xenoblade Chronicles 2, then you will somewhat understand this battle system, although this game does have a flow that is much different from 2, and I feel that only if you've played Xenoblade Chronicles X, Final Fantasy 12 or 14, or other MMOs, then this game may not click with the audience of 2 from the get-go, but stick with it and don't whine about the battle system the way that honestly Kotaku has shamefully done so for some reason, as it's honestly not that hard to learn. Also of note, if you're coming from 2, there are no blades in this game, so if you're expecting to see that, no, you're not, and it's something you need to get used to. Now, graphically speaking, this game is a substantial upgrade over what was released back in 2010 on the Wii, as the changes in both graphics and art style are very substantial. The original game had a more realistic look with no real emphasis on an anime aesthetic, the way that other JRPGs did, with proportions on characters that looked believable, in contrast to games such as Arc Race Fantasia and the like. Comparably, all the games from Operation Rainfall, which is where this came from, originally back in 2010, or rather, I guess here in America you could say 2012, they all had a rather realistic look with their character designs and weren't so much as anime aspired as which, typically the Xeno series would ultimately be heading back towards with Xenoblade Chronicles 2, after not using that style since both Xenogears and the Xenosaga trilogy. Shulk, Fiora, Ryan, Dunban, Melia, and Ricky all look incredible in full HD and animate very well. Seeing Shulk in Definitive Edition is awesome, as his design here takes cues from both his HD designs from Smash 4 and Ultimate, as well as his guest appearance in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, with a look that is in the middle way of his realistic look in the original and the more shonen anime style of 2, fitting somewhere more so with the style of Xenoblade Chronicles X. If I'm being honest, well, I'm being completely honest, I want to say that this game is basically an asset upgrade in many ways, because they took the core game and slapped on it a significantly better art style and graphics and such. Although that wouldn't be true, as the game was rebuilt, yet was made to respect the original game by not changing core aspects too dramatically. You'll see cutscenes that are point-for-point remakes of the original with maybe 1 or 2 changes here and there, but honestly, there's nothing too crazy here. And I want to talk about performance, because I know this is something a lot of people are going to be asking about, but when the game is docked, the game runs at about 1080p, and it's quite vibrant, and at times looks more vibrant than even what 2 was. The game runs smooth. I honestly never ran into any slowdown, hiccups, or frame rate issues, the way that I did with 2 back in 2017. Now, undocked and on the Switch Lite, the game has a variable resolution and frame rate that hits and stays around 720p, usually locked at about 30 frames per second. That can occasionally dip to about 24 frames per second. You know, and honestly, unless you're trying, it doesn't look that much different than when it's docked. Now, when it comes to the audio, what I can say about the audio, I mean, literally, that's a rhetorical question. What the hell can I say about the audio other than it slaps? Oh my god, I love everything about the music in this game, from the music, the sound, the voice acting, the OST. It's all so majestic in scope and scale. The OST is just so good. Like, look, honestly, let me level with you. My favorite track is honestly Engage the Enemy Once More, which is a remake of the original release's Engage the Enemy. That track plays for the first time during a pivotal story plot, and man, does it hit you in the feels each and every time you hear it, as it's just so melodic. And if music could speak words, then you could hear the story it tells with each string of the violin and viola, and each piano keystroke and vocal a cappella, the chorus, and then the serenades of the rock and electric fusion. Honestly, this song is the embodiment of Xenoblade Chronicles. I could go on and on about the rest of the OST, but honestly, this alone tells you how great the OST is, and there's no bad points of it at all. The voice acting has been something of a point of contention to many, as they don't like the UK voice actors, but to me, I'm a fan of Adam Howden as Shulk, which is someone who will be coming on the Kasanova podcast very soon. Link in the description if you're curious about finding that. And the rest of the cast, as well as everyone, plays their characters so perfectly. And unlike 2, where I didn't feel much connection with the characters until the end of the game, I honestly, in 1, due not only to having a substantially better plot, but also due to having, you know, just believable voice acting that made me feel for these characters and their plights and save the Bionis. Adam Howden is Shulk, and if ever Shulk is recast, I'm gonna have an issue with that, because Adam Howden is Shulk. That's like Rick Gomez to me is Zach Fair, not the other guy. It's just, you know, you build these levels of tangibility with voice actors and certain characters, and it's like, that's Shulk. And he was so good at making me feel his rage and hatred towards the Mekon and his hopelessness as well. Not only that, but the banter and camaraderie between all the characters, especially Shulk and Rain, felt 100% authentic and relatable. Now here we are. Downsides. I know you guys have been waiting for this. You really want to know what I think. And I'm just going to tell you this. Like, I'm biased towards the game because I don't see this game having any downsides other than the fact that the bulk of the new generation of Xeno fans started with Xenoblade 2. And because of that, you know, many of them don't realize how much of 2 spoiled basically the entire surprise reveal of 1. And so these fans won't understand why 1 is so important, and honestly you know, and this is my subjective opinion, is a better game and ultimately is needed to be played before 2 in order to get the entire scope of the story, and then followed up with Torna and the Future Connected additional plot. Now, I mentioned Future Connected. I know it's been heavily advertised and you're probably curious about this. So this game is not only a full remake of the original with enhancements, but it also has the benefit of having an extended epilogue called Future Connected, which ties in many things beyond the original game, but also 2, X, Xenosaga, and Xenogears. And honestly, that's all I'm gonna say, as you need to play this game for yourself. I will say, however, for the 8 to 10 hours that you will be playing this epilogue, it's incredibly worth your time, and it sets up the adventures for the next game in the series. And here we are. We have to wrap up. Got to put a rating on it, make it look pretty, present it, and honestly, this game being remade 10 years after I last played it is truly amazing, as I love this game. The story is timeless and is one I consider to be one of the greatest of this generation. The gameplay is insanely deep and strategic, rewarding smart gameplay. The graphics are simply stunning to see, especially from what it used to look like a decade ago. And then the audio and OST are as majestic as they were all those years ago and still stand the test of time. If anything, and if everything I've said here hasn't convinced you that this is a game that you would love and it's worth your time, then I will say it in layman's terms so everybody can understand. Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition is a game you need in your collection. So that's a review for Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. Huge shout out to Nintendo for sending me a review copy of this game, because this game is so amazing. It's so personal to me because I'm someone who played it back when it originally released. Like, I played the European version back in 2010, picked up the physical release here in North America in 2012, picked up again another copy of the game when it came out in 2015 on the Nintendo 3DS. And it's a franchise I love. I own every game in the Xeno franchise, from Xenogears to Xenosaga Trilogy to Xenoblade Chronicles, all three versions of the game now, as well as Xenoblade Chronicles X, as you can see behind me up here. And I've also got Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and also Torna the Golden Country. I'm a huge fan of Tetsuya Takahashi's work. I love everything that the man has done, even ones that many of you may not have even heard of. If you haven't heard of his other work, being Soma Bringer, one that him and his wife Soria Saga have worked on, I highly implore you guys to find a translated ROM copy of the game and just try and play it, because it is truly phenomenal. But thanks again, Nintendo, for the review copy. Thank you for the opportunity to be able to play this game, and giving a thank you in advance to Adam Howden for the opportunity to interview one of my favorite voice actors and someone who I truly have enjoyed their work over the years. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like the game, if you have it, tell me what you love about it. If you hate it, if it's not something that you enjoy, if it's if you came from Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and you're not feeling 1, let's get the conversation going. We got a Discord, amazing community of people if you want to join. The link's in the description. And other than that, yeah, catch me on the streams. I stream on Twitch every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and occasionally on Sunday. And links for that is, you can see it right here. It's gonna show up in the infographic here. And other than that, I'm gonna be streaming some Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. Yeah, I beat it, but still, this is it's a timeless classic. I can play time and time again, and I'd never get tired of it. So I'm going to be streaming that, as well as my MMOs. So catch me on twitch.tv/Mekel Kasanova if you're looking also, another shameless plug, if you're looking also for a great podcast with interviews with a lot of voice actors from the video game industry, celebrities, the gaming industry itself as a whole, and more. Check out Hawaii's #1 podcast, the Kasanova podcast, available on every podcasting outlet and live streamed twice a week, here on YouTube and on Twitch. And other than that, I want to give a big thank you and shout out to each and every one of my channel members, my Patreon supporters, because without you guys, I would not be able to do what I'm doing for a living, and your support. So, hey, if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. If you disliked it, give it a thumbs down. Either way, let me know. And yeah, that's it. I need to get sleep because I'm very tired, and I know I look tired. I've been reviewing a lot of games, and anyone who's originally played this knows that this is about an 80 to 70, maybe 100 hours if you do all the side quests and more hour game. So yeah, it's good. It's very good. With that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Deuces, wow, too sweet, be the elite. See you on the next one. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. Congratulations. And since you made it here, why don't you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Like the video if you enjoyed it. You can always check out MikelCasanova.com. If you want to support the content, we've got Patreon, as well as channel memberships and super chats. And with that being said, this is Mekel Kasanova. I enjoy you guys. I hope you have a great one. Mahalo, and see you next time.